Welcome into the I-80 boys, Texas A&M versus Florida preview. Christian, I'll start us off with Texas A&M here. They're 1-1. We know the big loss to Notre Dame week 1. That was a really, really good game. They lost that game 23-13. They beat somebody called McNeese last week 52-10. I did not watch any of that game. I doubt really anybody did unless you're Texas A&M fan. Now, I wanted to talk about this. Connor Weigman. I've seen this kid play a lot of football. I'm not sold on him. I wasn't sold on him last year before he got hurt. I'm not sold on him this year. I know that's going to piss off the A&M fan base here, but I got to see more out of this kid, dude. I do. I mean, I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but he's got to be better. I mean, the stats on the year, dude, 23 of 44, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And I know what people are going to say. Well, look, he played against a great Notre Dame defense week 1. We only have 2 weeks to go off of, so it's a small sample size here. But he did not look good in that game. I know Notre Dame's got an elite secondary, but he threw some pretty errant balls. It was off page with his receivers. It just didn't look good. Now, he might have looked great last week, but even the stats don't even tell that. And I know A&M rolled over McNeese. But look, he's got to be more efficient, I guess is what I'm getting here with Connor Weigman. I like the kid, but he's going to have to be better if A&M wants to go anywhere this season. Le'Veon Moss, the running back, he looks really good. I like this kid. I've seen enough of him so far this year to know that he's their bell cow back there, if you will. He's gotten 29 carries, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they're going to have to get him going against this Gators defense. And I expect him to. I do. I expect A&M to run the ball. Another thing that we've talked about even this offseason with A&M, because A&M has been probably the hardest team to predict this whole season. And after 2 weeks, they still, to me, don't really have like an elite receiver. Who's that 1A guy? Cyrus Allen, he's looked okay. He's got 7 catches for 100 yards this year, but A&M's going to have to get that passing game going at some point when they play some of these better defenses. Florida, probably not the most elite defense in the country, but you're going to have to be able to throw the ball, and you're going to have a couple wideouts that can make plays. On the defensive side of the ball, Christian, we know what Mike Elko is. No shock here. Defense looks great. I'm very impressed with the defense. This has been a strong suit for A&M for a couple years now, and it doesn't look like that's changing. They're only allowing 128 yards per game through the air, which is top 20 in the country, so hats off to A&M there. But here's the thing. They only have 1 sack this season, which is really shocking to me when I was digging into the stats for this. They only got 1 sack, and they're not getting a ton of pressure on the QB. So something they definitely can improve on. If anything, they should be able to get to the quarterback, I would think, here, because we know what the offensive line is at Florida this year. So with that being said, that's my A&M side of it. Christian, I want to hear the Florida Gators side.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, excellent breakdown there of Texas A&M. Look, for Florida, we know what happened week 1 against Miami. I think everybody watched that ass whipping and get upset, get mad about it, but it happened, right? Then last week, the DJ Lagway experiment happened, right? And that's something for Florida fans they can get hyped around, they can build around it. So you should be happy if you're a Florida fan. Look, I know it was against Stanford, but Lagway still had 456 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. The dude went off. Now, we'll see whether it's him or it's Graham Mertz in this one against A&M. If it was me, I know my donuts to dollars is going to be on Lagway. He's the future. He looked pretty decent. Let's keep trotting him out there, right? Let's keep trotting him out there. It isn't all on Lagway. It isn't all on the quarterback as to why Florida struggled this year. They've got other things, and we'll kind of get into that here in a minute. Regardless of who they start, A&M, like you said, Chris, they do rank in the top 25 as far as fewest passing yards allowed. However, they also haven't played anybody. Now, before you come in the comment section and you start commenting, but they played Notre Dame. I hope that you saw what happened to Notre Dame last week against NIU at home. I'll stand by my statement. They have not played anybody that can throw the football yet. So the judgment about A&M's pass defense is still out. Eugene Wilson, right? He was held quiet in the first half of that game against Stanford. In the second half, he went off, dude. He had 141 yards and a touchdown. Guy already has 191 yards this year on 13 catches. Hell of a job. The run game, they did about as expected, right? Put up a respectable 166 yards in this one, which is good, right? A&M right now, Chris, has the 110th, rushing defense right now in terms of rushing yards allowed. So Florida needs to lean on that run game, whether it's Mertz or a DJ Lagway. They need to be able to lean on Montrell Johnson, right? If it is Lagway, utilize his running ability. Let him kind of run a little bit. On the other side, look, Florida ranks 87th in total defense. The good news for the Gators, A&M's offense has been pretty bad. when they play anybody of note, right? So that is pretty good for Florida. A&M does struggle to throw the ball. They rank 118th in the country right now, Chris. So if the Gators can kind of bottle up the run, they should be fine, I think, in this one. Florida, by the way, does have a top 50 rushing defense at this point, but A&M is top 25, as you already talked about their backfield there. They can run the football pretty well, right? Rushing offense-wise. Look, the two guys on the defense that need to step up in this one is linebacker Shamar James and edge rusher Tyreek Sapp. Okay. I'm also going to throw one more guy in here just as a bonus, and that's nose tackle Desmond Watson. He's the gigantic human being that if you ever watch Florida, that's their nose tackle. Okay. He's about one Big Mac away, I think, from being 500 pounds. I mean, not really, but he's a big human being. Okay. He needs to plug up those running lanes and force A&M to throw the football. Let those backers flow to the ball. I need to see that from him. I'll get right into my score prediction on this one, Chris. Give me Texas A&M 24, Florida 17.
Damn. Okay, we're close here. Before I give you my prediction, you're spot on. That was a good analysis of Florida. This game to me is going to be low scoring. It is. I think both defenses are going to play well enough. I'm not sold on both offenses. I know the whole DJ Lagway experience is going to potentially happen if they roll him out there, but he's still a freshman. And A&M, if anything, yeah, they definitely can stop the pass, I think, but it is a little bit of a question mark with Notre Dame and what happened to them. But I still think they got some playmakers out there, and they can be able to bottle up this run and make this a lower scoring game. So I got A&M 24. I got Florida 20. Christian, I want to ask you a question here. This game is really important here for both these teams. It really is. If you think about the SEC right now, do you see Florida pulling this upset off? And I'm calling this an upset because Florida's not favored in this game. A&M is by 4. The game is also at the Swamp.
Do I see Florida pulling this upset off? I could see it, and I'll explain why I can see it, because I'm not really, like you said earlier in this, I'm not sold on Connor Weigman at this point. I mean, if Florida can bottle that run game up somehow, and you force Weigman, like we saw the Notre Dame game, right, to try to beat you throwing the football, I have zero confidence in that. The thing that I thought I knew about this is I thought, okay, A&M, like I still think A&M has a pretty good defense, right? I think that this will be a lower scoring game, mainly because of A&M's ineptness to be able to throw the football. And I understand that what they did to McNeese, but we don't ever really put a whole lot of stock in these, top 5 FCS schools that everybody wants to talk about. It's really hard to evaluate that, right? So I would just say, this game to me, honestly, comes down to Connor Weigman. If Weigman can play halfway decent, A&M should probably roll in this one. If Weigman goes out and looks like shit and they struggle to run the football and they become very one-dimensional and Florida can stack the box, I feel like Florida has an opportunity to win this game, right? I'm taking the Swamp out of it because that doesn't mean jack shit as a reason. So I'll ask you, Chris, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. What you just mentioned. This game is going to come down to A&M's passing game and whether or not they can move the sticks on third down. I mean, it is. Can Weigman make some big-time throws? He doesn't have to make great throws the entire game. What I mean by that is 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 on a drive and extending that drive, right? I know A&M's going to come in here and try to pound the rock. They'd be dumb not to. But, yeah, he's going to have to make some throws. I mean, for a guy that's played as much as he has in college football, it's time to step up and prove it here because – I wanted to add this in here too. Both these schools, man, they got a lot riding on them. Billy Napier's fighting for his job. I don't care what the Florida man says he is. Watch the Miami game. And Florida, as we all know, has got this brutal schedule. Mike Elko's the new coach at A&M. A&M, let's be honest, has struggled to make the bowl game the last couple of years. They got a lot of expectations this year. So this is a huge game for both these schools. I think the loser of this is going to be forgotten about most of the year, honestly, on public networks and podcasts and everything. I really, really, truly do. But, Florida's definitely got a chance in this one, but they're going to have to do exactly what you said. Weigman, it's going to come down to him, and Florida's going to have to stiffen up the defense a little bit, make some plays, create a couple turnovers. Depending on who is playing quarterback, whether it's Graham Mertz, whether it's DJ Lagway, they're going to have to hit on a couple big plays as well. So, I expect this game, as you said, and we alluded to, I expect this to be pretty low scoring.
Yeah, Chris, and I'll add this too. I think that, another way that I evaluate these games, I'm sure you do as well, who has the most pressure on them? Pressure can make you do some crazy things. Elko just got to A&M, okay? Retrospectively speaking, Yeah, there's pressure there, but it ain't like year 3 at Florida right now for Billy Napier. I mean, he's got all the pressure on the world. I mean, you could basically make the argument if he loses this game, it's a wrap. Because I think in the foreseeable future, right, other than maybe a game here or there, this is the most winnable game they've got.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a really good point. No, I do the same thing. Yeah, who's got more pressure? It's definitely Florida here. You're at home too. I mean, everybody tells us the Florida man. Oh, the swamp, hardest place to play. Well, Miami went in there and just beat your shit. I mean, they really did. They're going to have to use that to their advantage this weekend. They're going to have to play better. Graham Mertz, whether it's DJ Lagway, definitely going to have to play better. But no, Florida's definitely got the pressure on them this one.